There's something therapeutic about sharing something about oneself, even if it's just online. And today, in my 80th video of this channel, first year vlogging, I'm going to talk about myself and I'm going to answer some of the questions you have about me. If you're not interested, see you in my next video. It's going to be about telco account. But today, I'm really just going to talk about myself. So the first question is from Andy TV, and she's asking, I really want to know where you're from. Okay, so I grew up in Lupon, Davao Oriental, in the province. I'm Bisaya. And then when I graduated, I went to Davao to look for a job. And 3 years later, I went to Cebu. And then I went to Taytay. And currently, I'm in the island of Palawan. That's it. Question from Anna Marie Sophia. While watching your videos, sometimes I would wonder how you started. Were you already fluent in English before being exposed in the BPO industry? What did you take in college and why did you choose to pursue a career in BPO? Okay, so that's a lot of questions, Anna Marie Sophia, but I'm going to start with what I took in college. So, I'm not entirely sure if this qualifies as college, but it was called a vocational course and it was by TESDA. You all know what TESDA is, right? So it was computer programming for 2 years. Now, do I think that I had what it takes to be a decent programmer? I think so. Do I love programming? Absolutely. I love the challenge that comes with it. The problem was if you're going to take a course that's related to computers, you got to have a computer at home. You got to have your own computer. And that was just not the case for me. At that time, me and my mother thought that the computers at school would suffice, but that was definitely not the case when you're a computer programming student. And so that alone already was a hindrance for me to actually have a job related to computer programming, because in this field you gotta, like, your brain doesn't really stop working when you come home. You still think about coding, you still think about the plans that you're gonna make, how you're gonna solve a certain problem. And it was frustrating not having a computer at home. And I did have a computer at home at the very last part of the 2 year course. Enough for me to create our thesis, to work on our thesis. But the problem was halfway the EVR exploded. And so, yeah, that was the end of it. I graduated from computer program, and then we had our OJT in Davao City. We were quite disappointed by it, to be honest, because our course was computer programming. But for some reason, we had our OJT or internship in a mall working as cashiers. Now, I know cashiers use computers to work, but that's a completely different thing. It's a completely different task from computer programmers. So yeah, we were already disappointed by that, but I mean, hey, whatever helps you graduate, right? But if there's one great thing that happened from that OJT, it was the fact that we were exposed to the city. Remember that we live in the province, right? And being in a city just exposes you to different types of people, lots of opportunities, as opposed to the province where you just meet more likely the same types of people, your neighbors, and there's not a lot of opportunities unless you have a relative in the municipality or you have a backer to help you get a job. But in the city, that's not the case. There's definitely a lot of opportunities, even if they're just low paying jobs, but they would still help you build your stepping stone to something better. To answer our question, why did you choose to pursue a career in BPO? That's because I had no choice. It was for the money. As cashier, as a sales clerk, we were getting around 220 pesos a day. During November and December, we're not even allowed to have our day off. It was awful. But that was, I mean, I didn't want to go home because I pictured myself going home and I asked myself, what would be the next step after that? And I just saw a dead end. I just saw a dead end, and I thought that if I wanna make my life better, this is my only chance to stay in the city and get a better paying job. I saw a lot of job hiring posts in billboards for call center companies, and I got the idea. Okay, and I love English as a subject, so I got the idea that what if I just improve my English, and that if it's going to be enough, I would be able to land a job. And that was the start of my dream of being a call center agent. And luckily for me, when I was a service crew, there was this bookstore in NCCC Maa in Davao called Book Sale. And they would sell their books for 5 pesos, 10 pesos. And I was just so happy when I saw that. And I would buy a lot of books. And while I was enjoying the story, I was also improving my English. I was reading them aloud, and I would try to replicate the American accent. And by that time, actually, I did not have a lot of exposure to American accent. I heard them in movies, but I was not even exposed to a lot of movies, and I didn't have exposure to internet too. I mean, I knew I went to internet from time to time, but it was not frequent because you have to pay around 15 to 10 pesos every hour, and I needed all the money that I could save. Not that it was a very efficient way to improve your English, but it was enough for me to land a job in a call center. My salary as a cashier and a service crew was around 7,000 pesos a month, and compared to call center, which was at the time around 18 to 21 a month. So that's a big upgrade. I'm not saying that it's high, but it's definitely better than what I was doing as a cashier and a service crew. Were you already fluent in English before being exposed in the BPO industry? Absolutely not. If I encounter a native English speaker and he would ask me for directions, I would not be able to talk to him. That's how bad my English was. But it was not that bad. I was aware of the subject verb agreement, the grammar, of course, because we all studied that in school. But the biggest challenge for me at that time was the spontaneity. Next question is, are you from VXI? No, I have not worked for VXI, but I definitely know a lot of agents who are working currently in VXI, and they're my previous workmates. A question from Aaron Esprit. Hi, I'm not in the call center industry. I just stumbled upon your video and I just got to ask, what is that accent? It's a neutral accent. Some people might say that I sound like an American speaker, but if you ask an American if I sound like an American, the answer would be no. So, yeah, I would call this a neutral accent. If you're arguing with a boyfriend or someone with that voice sound, damn, problem solved. No, I don't sound like this in real life. I speak like this.
Look, there are actually fruits here. I think this is close to the house now. Oh yeah, it's close to the house. Amang langka. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can, it's a jackfruit when there are orange leaves. And there's a santol. And I think that is avocado or something. Avocado, I think, yeah. Or is that a kasoy?
Which one?
There. Is that a kasoy or?
One up?
Yeah.
No, it's not a soy for
It's a
sure.
kasoy, okay.
No, I think
There's
just
malunggay, oh.
this one.
Malunggay. Ang daming kalamansi.
Namitas na kami ma'am, pag inyo na to, baka hindi na kami makapitas.
There's another jackfruit, oh. And this is the calamansi kingdom. There's all calamansi. There's a lot of saging here.
Yeah, funny, well, it's covered with vines.
For a monkey like you, there's a lot of saging. Oh, look.
So as you heard, there was definitely a Bisaya accent while I was speaking English, and that's because it's way easier for me to speak like that than speak like this. So I heard that toddlers, have this very flexible mouth when it comes to speech. So that means that the mouth of a toddler is capable of producing sounds from any language around the world. But as the toddler grows older, those parts of his mouth that are responsible for speech start taking their own permanent shape that is adjusted to his or her mother tongue. And so it gets harder and harder to learn a new language. That is why children seem to have a knack for learning new languages. Adults tend to have a more difficult time learning a new language, and that's probably why. From Chris Stories, I just want to know, since your mom was a teacher before, did she teach you to speak English in your younger age? The answer is no. And my mother was not even a permanent teacher. She quit after substituting a teacher because there were like 9 of us, 9 or 10 there, and I'm the eldest, so she has to take care of us. It's just that I'm definitely amazed by your accent, by your language skills. Don't be, because these videos I'm making, they're pre-recorded, and even if they're pre-recorded, I still make mistakes, simple grammar mistakes, and that's because I'm really not that good. I mean, I don't really consider myself as having a great verbal skill. I would probably just consider it decent with mistakes, so don't. But we both know sometimes you're still correcting yourself with grammar. That's right, because there are times when I realize, I said it wrong, and then it's too late, and you can't really avoid those instances. I'm getting better and better at it, but definitely I couldn't speak a perfect grammar every time. That's why I'm really confused by your natural skill. No, I don't have a natural skill. This is learned. I learned this, and I worked hard for this. From Jasper Bukog, what company are you currently working for, and tips on how to be promoted internally? I'm not currently working for anybody. I'm just a full-time YouTuber currently, and tips on how to be promoted internally. Well, it's okay. So to be promoted, obviously, you have to have a perfect attendance, no tardiness, if you can help it, meet the metrics, and lastly, get noticed by the decision makers in your account. And by decision makers, I mean your team lead, your manager, your supervisor, anyone who could decide who to promote. When they need to promote someone, they would have this meeting and they would ask one another, "Oh, who is the best candidate for this position?" And I think it also depends on the position that you're gunning for. For example, if you're a QA, you want to practice being detailed and being thorough about your job. But if you want to be a team lead, I think it's super important to have people skills where you know how to talk to different types of personalities and get along with everybody. That's very important for a team lead. What's your Instagram? I would love to follow you. Unfortunately, I don't have an Instagram. I don't plan to have one currently because the thing about social media, I tend to get addicted to them, and then I could barely stop myself. So I right now I'm just focusing on YouTube, and maybe in the future I would love to have an Instagram and other social media account, but right now I don't see the point. We'll see. A question from Boy Mukbang. Why do we have to spend so much time on saving money and thinking so much about our future if we're simply born and then die in the end? Billionaires, businessmen, millionaires have to perish just like the poor, so why should we do this? Okay, so this question is like asking, why do we have to bother breathing when in the end we're just all gonna die anyway? Why bother living when we're just gonna die in the end anyway? Okay, the answer to this is that you need to save money because you're gonna have to put food on the table, you're gonna have to finance your dreams, and you're gonna need it to live. Okay? Okay, so this is, okay, let's say that this is your birth, your birth, and then this is your death. You live to until your 70s. So the question is, what are you gonna do during your age, during age 1 to 70, age 1 to 69? What are you gonna do? You need food for that. You need a house. So if you don't save your money, then, and if you spend it badly, then what are you gonna do during your 30s if you already spent your money during your 20s? So I don't know what is the purpose of this question, but really, because money is important. Money is not everything, sure, but it solves a lot of problems. It solves money problems, which is a problem for a lot of people. So yeah, okay, there seems to be, okay, when I was in elementary, I saw this post. I think it's like a saying. I don't know who said that or whatever, but there's this post on the wall saying that money is the root of all evil. Maybe there are good reasons for someone to come up with that saying, but money is really just a resource. If you spend it badly, then you're gonna end up badly. But if you spend it wisely, it's gonna improve your life. You're gonna have a decent roof over your head. You're gonna be able to upgrade yourself. You're just gonna make your life overall better. So people who think that money is evil, they tend to not work so hard because they think that the pursuit of money is what do you call it, immoral, and the act of forsaking money is noble. And there are also some people who degrade other people in the name of money. So you don't want to be in both extremes. You want to be in the middle. That's the optimal point here. You want to be in the middle so that you get the best of both worlds and get less of the negatives in both worlds. You don't want to be this greedy bastard, and you also don't want to be this person who hates money. So you want to balance that out so you don't get crazy. The thing about people going to the extreme is that it's really easy for them, because when you're in the extreme, you feel so much passion, but your thinking basically is diminished. That's it. What is your morning routine to start your day? Nothing fancy, really. I don't even follow a morning routine every day. I would like to, but it's hard, self-discipline and all, procrastination. But whatever I do every day, I make sure that I exercise, I work out, and just get my heart pumping. I just do the bare minimum, just a 30-minute of HIIT or high intensity interval training by Fitness Blender. I do that every other day, and it just helps me feel good. But once I have a permanent place and a house, I would really love to buy equipment to build some muscles, because I'm turning 30 in the next 2 years, and I would love to preserve my body as much as possible. I just want to ask, do you take care of your voice or throat for your job? Not really, but there are times when it gets raspy and gets hard to talk, because you talk 8 hours every shift and non-stop. We only stop when we have lunch. So definitely, I think any voice agent would definitely benefit by taking care of their voice. I just don't know how. How did you manage to handle yourself after a nesting period, physically, emotionally, and mentally? Yeah, it's hard, but I think the realization that I just didn't have any choice about the matter, then that was my only option. Just that realization helped me get through the dark times of my nesting period. Physically, of course, you want to make sure that you eat clean. The good thing was, in Davao, everything is cheap. The fruits, the vegetables, they're fresh and cheap. So that helped. Emotionally, I think you just gotta have friends and partner who will support you, especially when you're working night shift and you barely see them And then mentally now, I love watching channels and reading books about self motivation, self help, just to like just to remind yourself that you have a goal to reach. That's it, really, mentally. And then I honestly feel nervous because my first week of nesting was quite disappointing and let me feel frustrated because of the hang up calls, unresolved customers concern, and low score sa QA monitoring. How long have you been in nesting, by the way? Because if this is just your first week, don't feel so bad about yourself. I was definitely not doing great when it was my first week of taking calls. There was one time, okay, I was talking to a Canadian French customer, and my accent at the time was probably bad because she said, I can't understand you. Can we talk in French? Parlez-vous français? Which means, do you speak French? And of course, I did not. And it was awful. And then it dawned on her that I'm not in Canada. I'm not French, but I'm in the Philippines. And she said, "Are you in Manila? I don't speak Tagalog." Tagalog. But yeah, it's one of those moments where you just want to stop working for that industry, and you I think just try to make friends with the tenured rep, because what saved me from that awkward moment was my seatmate who is a tenured rep, and he saved me from that. Adrian, by the way, is his name. Adrian saved me from that, and he pretended to be my supervisor and apologized, and just told the customer that I was new. But yeah, I just make as much friends as you can, and hopefully they can help you in the emotional part because they've been there. They're gonna be able to give you advice, and they're gonna boost your morale about the whole thing. Next. It's great to hear an update from you. Thank you. I wish you also consider doing a podcast. I would consider doing a podcast, but I need to come up with topics because right now I couldn't really think of anything, and I'm already having a hard time with YouTube as it is. So we'll see. But that's definitely one of my plans in the future. Please make a second channel about your personal life. Yung vlog type of videos, I appreciate your typical videos, but it would be nice to let your hair down sometimes. Please, okay. I once created a second channel about, I don't know, about my life. That was the intention. There's just a typical vlog type of video, but I deleted the channel because I feel like, how many videos can I make about my life? Like 1 or 2 videos, that would be enough, and the channel would be dead already. So I don't think I'm cut out for vlogging type of videos where I talk about my life. Some people have a knack for it, but I'm not definitely one of them, unfortunately. But I am planning to create a second channel, and it's going to be about let's just say organic farming, specifically permaculture. Right now, the goal is to just meet people who are quite knowledgeable in permaculture and just learn from them. Maybe visit their farm and just implement those principles in our own place. Currently, we're in Palawan because we're looking for a land because we want to live here. So the first step right now is to just look for a land and then practice permaculture in that land. And it's going to take a lot of years, probably even 3 years, 2 years minimum to gain a decent knowledge to be able to talk about it in a YouTube video and channel. So that is my future plan because I'm in a bad need of a specialty. I like learning about different things, but I have a need to just dive deep into a subject that I'm interested in. And for me, when I was younger, that was computer programming, but that didn't turn out well. But now that I have the resources, thank you, YouTube, I'm now able to pursue things that I could just dream of before. So yeah, this is definitely a good start for me. Are there times when you're a QA that you just forgive the mistake of an agent and give them a high score? It depends. If it's not that big of a deal, the customer is happy and it's just a minute detail, I usually just give them 100 and that's it. But if it's an agent that usually scores high on most of the calls, I usually take my time to look for calls where there are opportunities for improvement. But yeah, the answer is yes. Next question is, what motivates you to continue as a call center agent for a very long time? I only lasted in the call center industry for 4 years, 2 years taking calls, handling chats and emails, and then as a QA for the rest of the 2 years. After that, I tried training in Convergys and in ePerformax, and then I ended up quitting before the nesting because it was awful. It was awful for me. I don't need to say it, but I just had enough. I just had enough. I just had enough of it, and I was getting older, and I felt like time was passing me by. And then, what was that? What am I talking about? I did not really work in the industry for a very long time. 4 years, I think, is quite short time. There are people who last 10 years, 15 years in this industry, which is quite amazing and impressive. This is from my Abushar. I'm a technical support analyst from Middle East and your content decision. Thank you. I'm curious to know any situation you have gone through that was hard for you regarding dealing with clients. Okay, so I'm dealing with irate customers who are just unreasonable and rude. I'm fine with them. But it's hard for me when I talk to a friendly client who tries to befriend me at the start of the call, and then it turns out that she has this very complicated problem that no one else could solve. I hate those moments because just when I'm about to make a connection with this customer, she's gonna be disappointed, and some of them they curse, and I hate that turn of events in that type of call. So definitely my weakness when dealing with customers is when they're nice people and they're so friendly, and then they get nasty after learning that there's no solution for their problem. And Johnny, an agent, my workmate, my ex-workmate, he even has this theory that customers would ask you nice questions, but would ask you questions like, "Oh, how are you today? I hope you're having a great shift." And then because they have this motive, they have this agenda. Once you're being friendly over the call, they have this agenda that they want you to do for them. So, yeah, I definitely hate those moments. But irate customers who are unreasonable in the first place, that's fine. No problem. Next question from Ralph Kenneth. Hi, Miss Candice. You said that you're not in the BPO now. What is your job now? Just curious. Thanks. So, yeah, I'm no longer working for in the call center industry. Currently, I'm just a full-time YouTuber, and I'm so happy about this. I did not expect that I would have this like a career. Well, I would consider it a career. Some people might say otherwise, but I love this, and I'm so happy about being a YouTuber because I don't have a boss, and I can just if I'm tired, I cannot work. I can choose not to work, and nobody would give a damn. But it's definitely also a negative because, I get to I get when I get lazy, nobody would call me out, and I love this. But it sounds nice and it pays. Okay, it allows me to do the things that I could only dream of before, and that's the great thing about YouTube. But it's definitely not secure. So right now, my plan is to make sure that I am saving money, and in order for me to diversify my income, because you never know with YouTube, the rules could change overnight, and then the revenue could disappear overnight too. So you don't want that to happen to you. So you obviously want to have some sort of security. and you still want to enjoy it again, but again, there's got to be some percentage that you have to save in order to for it to generate you more revenue in other form. Okay, not sure. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all for today. I think I have answered all the questions, and don't worry, in my next video, I'm going to talk about telecommunication account. It's going to be business from here. I'm just creating this video because I was sick for 2 weeks. I thought it was COVID. I was experiencing cold symptoms. I had a really congested nose and I lost my sense of smell for 2 weeks. But now there are signs that it's coming back slowly, but hopefully, surely. And yeah, we're back to business now. I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling almost 100%. So thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. And thank you so much. And that's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.